It's hard to believe that one of the most densely populated regions in Europe can be home to so many natural beauties. It's not until at night when the lights go on in Western Europe that you become really aware of the contrast in the Maas-Rhine Euregion. Ultra-modern transport links alongside picturesque farm tracks. Food production and heavy industry alongside rare flora and fauna. Local alongside global. But the links between the remaining natural elements have suffered under modernization. Working with 13 landscape and nature conservation agencies, the Habitat Euregio project aims to improve the natural links in the area bordering Germany, the Netherlands and Belgium, to the benefit of the people who live, work and find recreation here. Water is a life requirement. The infinite number of small streams in the Eifel and Ardennes are of huge significance for the Maas-Rhine Euregion. That's why water conservation is so vital for humans, plants and animals. We're currently taking stock of the freshwater mussel population. So far, we've only found 28 mussels. We assume that we find one mussel in 3, so there must be only about 100 mussels still living in the Our, which is disastrous if you compare the situation 100 years ago.
Ce qui comparativement à il y a une centaine d'années par exemple est vraiment catastrophique.
You can't expect me to thrive here. The water is filthy. I can hardly breathe and my babies suffocate. It wasn't like this when I was younger.
And if the
turf remains firm and intact, so that there's no erosion, then we don't have these problems. Planting reinforces the banks and reduces the amount of sediment getting into the water. As the freshwater mussels have almost died out, a restoration program will support reproduction. This is no easy matter, since the young have to develop in the gills of trout during the first winter. Here we're checking the trout that were vaccinated with mussel larvae last summer. When you lift up the gill cover, you can see the larvae. They're really tiny. They're the white spots on the red gills. The trout that still have larvae on their gills will be later taken by Herr Feldhaus to the production area, where the juvenile mussels can be extracted.
It's very kind of you to look after my babies, my dears.
We humans are responsible for the water quality ourselves. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, so catch 'em young, we say. So you can say that the water here is of mediocre quality. It's dirty, but it could be worse. The network of streams and rivers do not just provide the animals with a habitat, but also a means to settle in new habitats across the borders. Beavers know too well how to take advantage of this. This beaver has left the Ardennes to look for new territory.
Nothing but concrete. How on earth do I get out of here? Let's see if I can find water and trees to settle in. Oh, this looks good. There's somebody here already. A female, perhaps.
In this former gravel pit, completely surrounded by industrial and residential areas, the municipality of Upey is developing a green oasis.
Vous êtes ici, vous êtes ailleurs.
This place feels miles
Donc
away.
l'objectif était d'aller puiser dans ce que la nature nous
Our
avait
aim
donné
was to
ces
work
20
where
dernières
nature had
années.
established herself in the last 20 years, to get the best out of it and to open up the site for a more varied flora and fauna.
Réaccueillir une nature plus diversifiée. C'est un terrain d'accueil multiple, c'est un terrain
It's a
d'accueil
versatile refuge for neighbours and visitors, but also for any other creature.
Pour tout le monde vivant. Des milieux diversifiés
It's a
qui vont
species-rich
permettre à chacun
habitat
de trouver sa
that will
niche,
allow anyone
pouvoir
to find their niche and
Cela va
coexist.
permettre également de développer un centre d'observation.
Now schools and neighbours can observe nature here as well, and in a different light.
Un regard sur la nature
It's
qui
no
avait
longer
tendance
overgrown
à
and
se
out of
fermer
reach
sur
of the
elle-même et à
population.
disparaître de l'environnement direct et accessible pour la population locale.
We continue downstream over the Dutch-Belgian border. Few people know that the Maas has been increasingly allowed to follow its natural course between Maastricht and Maaseik, and that nature is going through a spectacular metamorphosis. Our beaver is discovering this small paradise too.
Let's see how it looks here.
Ja, we hebben inderdaad heel wat weinig
Yes, we've done a lot of
gedaan.
work
De
here.
vechten ziet je
In the
de
distance
oevers,
you
die
can
zijn
see the
nu
banks that are now flat.
Vroeger liepen die echt recht naar beneden.
Earlier they
Dus
were
was
very
heel
steep,
weinig contact
so there was no
tussen het water
interchange
van
between the water of the
en
Maas and the higher areas beyond
het
it.
afschuinen van die oevers is dat contact dus veel beter geworden. Het
Thanks to the
water
levelling, the Maas can burst its banks during floods, which makes colonization by plants and animals easier. Flood protection benefits too.
So, what work have you been doing here then? Do you do something?
Ja, er zijn heel wat
We've done a lot
werk
here
gebeurd
too
om
to
die
link
verbinding
up
met
with
de
the
Hoge Kempen te
Hoge Kempen
maken,
National
want hier is
Park.
natuurlijk veel
There's a lot of
natuur, maar
nature
in de
here,
Hoge
of course,
Kempen
but you should see the Hoge
dus we
Kempen.
hebben onder andere
We've
houtplanten
planted
aangelegd,
coppices
we
among
hebben
other things,
parken
dug a number of
graven,
pools
zijn
and
kleine
planted various
boomgaatjes
trees.
aangelegd. Dat soort
Those are
zaken,
small
zodat er
stepping
in het
stones, a
landschap
landscape
kleine stapsteentjes
along which
zijn waar
animals
de
and
planten
plants
en
can
diersoorten
navigate.
zich langs kunnen bewegen.
That's all fine and good, but how do I get to the Hoge Kempen from here?
Ja, er zijn ook een hele hoop beken die eigenlijk van de Kempen naar
There
de
are no
Maas
end of
stromen
streams
en,
that flow
hier
between the
zijn
Maas and the
perfect in
Hoge
staat om
Kempen.
langs die beken
They're
om te
perfect for
fietsen.
beavers to swim up to the Hoge Kempen.
We hebben al die werken niet alleen voor al die
All
planten
this
en
work was
dieren
not
gedaan,
just
het is
done
ook
for plants and
belangrijk,
animals.
dat we de
Humans
mensen er ook
benefit
van
too.
laten genieten. Dus
That's why
daarom
we laid
hebben
out a
we
walking area
aangelegd
that exploits these corridors too.
Dus
People
mensen
really
hebben er
like
ook,
it.
plezier van.
Nature knows no borders. Where Germany, the Netherlands and Belgium meet, there's a large forest which supplies timber but also offers a habitat for many animals and plants.
What a boring stretch of forest this is. I mean, all the trees are as straight as a die.
Die NABU Naturschutzstation hat im Projekt Habitat.
The German agency
Euregio
NABU has a
die
nature
Wälder
conservation
um Aachen
station
herum
which is
untersucht,
investigating the
den
forest
Aachen
land
auch
around
den
Aachen,
belgischen
the
Preußwald
Belgian
und den
Preußwald
niederländischen
and the Dutch
Feinabos.
Vellenbos
Und wir
as part of the
haben
Habitat
die
Euregio
Biotopen
project.
aufgenommen, die Strukturen im
And we've
Wald,
recorded the
auf der einen
biotopes,
Seite
the forest
und auf der
structures on the
anderen
one
Seite
hand,
haben wir die
and mapped the bird
Vogelarten
species, the
kartiert,
breeding
die
varieties,
Jungvogelarten
and bats
und auch die
too on the
Fledermäuse.
other.
Und dabei haben wir festgestellt, dass
Interestingly,
gerade
we
von den
ascertained
seltenen
that there are 3 to 4 times as many
bereits
rare forest
viermal so
species
viele
as in
Brutvögel
commercial
vorhanden sind
forests.
als in einem Wirtschaftswald. Ja, das ist jetzt eine Klangattrappe.
Now that's a lure. With it we can attract really rare birds. That's the call of a cock. in this case a middle-spotted woodpecker, which answers, so you can determine its territory.
In dem Fall der Mittelspecht, der antwortet dann und man kann so die Reviere feststellen.
Yes, I like it here. There are old trees here.
A forest is an incredibly complex ecosystem. Of course, you don't have just plants and trees, you have countless species of animals, fungi that decompose the wood, and the whole food chain. We investigated birds because they constitute the end of the food chain. If the bird fauna is varied and rare species are present, it means that there's also a rich range of insect fauna, and all other plants and animals are present too.
Und alle anderen Pflanzen und Tiere eben auch vorhanden sind.
The old cultural landscape of the hilly area between Noordeifel and Hoge-Kempen is made up of orchards, meadowland and fields, but there are small woods, hedgerows and sunken tracks too. And this is precisely where dormice feel at home.
Gosh, it's boring here. I want to get out of here. I can't leave my wood because you humans have removed all the hedges. I can only walk on boughs and branches. How am I supposed to get down to the other wood to find the mouse of my dreams?
The problem with the woods here is that they all lie fragmented in the landscape. In earlier days, they were all connected by wooden banks and hedges, which actually served to keep the cows in the meadows. Now there's a barbed wire in the cultured landscape in Vuren. All is neat and tidy. The hedges have all disappeared, and there's a risk that the dormice will withdraw to the woods. From there, they can't reach other woods because there are no connecting elements anymore.
Yes, okay. And even if I make it to the other wood, I'll have to find good food. Hazelnuts and blackberries. Because I need reserves of fat to tide me over during my long hibernation.
The ideal biotope for a dormouse is a nice coppice with a nice wood beyond. The coppice is quite versatile, with hollows and all kinds of shrubs and climbers, forming a comfortable transition to the open countryside. The shrubs bear nuts and other fruits and berries.
Na de bosrand en al die struiken wat erin staan, die dragen noten, die dragen bessen in die randjes.
We felled a couple of big trees by the coppice, moved the barbed wire forward into the meadowland and planted native shrubs behind it so the coppice can develop even more. Together with our Belgian partners, we've worked hard to create green corridors. Those are ditches, tracks and woodlands. Of course, species such as dormouse or redback shrike benefit greatly from these corridors. One great advantage is that not only animals but also humans can experience the landscape. All these fine maintenance initiatives mean visitors can better understand its significance and what it looked like before. And better still, they can even observe some animals. The wet habitats were not left out either. I've identified some 120 to 140 old pools and cattle troughs here. As part of the project, we, together with our partners, have restored a good 60 drinking troughs and pools. Now they're interesting for the midwife toad again. The male midwife toad carries the eggs on its back until they're about to hatch, when he takes the larvae to the water. Humans have also created a new link here over the motorway and railway track, which before were insurmountable for wildlife. By now I know the high fence like the back of my paw. Now I wonder what the way north will bring. Wow, what a great bridge! My friend the badger didn't know about this bridge.
We We're
standing by the motorway from Aachen to Liège and the high-speed train link, the TGV. They prevent wildlife crossing from one side to the other. Fortunately, a wildlife crossing, an eco-duct, has been built here. Naturally, we're all curious to see if the wildlife really accepted the crossing, so we installed cameras on it to observe what animals used it in the winter months.
I hope that
we'll be able to collect the fur of wild cats now. A post with Velcro. We'll pour some valerian oil over it to attract the wildcats, so I hope the Velcro will collect wildcat fur. With the genetic analysis of the cat's fur, you can determine whether it was a real wildcat or a cross with a domestic cat. Other species use this crossing too. Above all, key to the success of this project is the close collaboration between the 13 partners. Within the Euregional platform, they were regularly able to exchange experiences so they could perform concrete conservation measures more effectively. We're meeting again today for the umpteenth Euregional Forum. Today we'd like to discuss what we've achieved over the last 3 years.
I want trees to eat, less concrete,
more trees near the river.
Not all at once. We must keep order. Dormouse, tell us what you think.
Of course, we're all pleased that the partners have gone to such trouble to understand and improve our habitat. But there's still a lot to do, you know.
The 13 partners have created green corridors for the animals that are here today. Despite language difficulties, we've enjoyed good collaboration in the Euregio Habitat project. It's not easy to stay on course with so many partners, but that's the coordinator's job. It's a beginning. Humans have built bridges since the beginning of time. The whole Euregio project is about building bridges to recreate natural corridors. Boundless green for plants and animals. And in the end, for 4 million people too.